Good morning friends. Yesterday on 3rd September 2025 at 11 pm, the 56th GST Council has concluded and the press conference thereto has concluded. In this video, we will discuss 6 very important aspects and announcement in the press conference, press release as well as FAQs. The rate rationalization schedule is out and all the rate changes can be seen there. Here we will discuss on other very important 6 important issues. So first, the transition for the rate rationalization in GST 2.0. There were 3 main concerns of industry. First, the rate rationalization would take effect from 22nd September 2025. So that is around 18 days from today. So trade and industry may plan accordingly. Second, no anti-profiteering would be triggered due to the reduction in GST rates. So the government has clarified that it expects that industry would pass on the benefit of GST rate reduction to the consumers. They would engage with the industry in this respect. Also, market forces would compel the industry to pass on the benefit of GST rate reduction to the consumers. Third, it was a demand from industry that what would happen for the input tax credit accumulated on the stocks on 22nd September 2025. It is clarified that no inverted duty refunds would be available to the traders on the stocks which is lying on the date of effect of GST 2.0 rate reduction. So accordingly, the supply chain needs to be planned by trade and industry. Second, and very important for the entire supply chain, that is post sale discount in GST. There are 5 major issues in case of discounts, and by and large it is seen all these 5 issues have been addressed by the GST Council, and there would be an amendment to section 15 subsection 3 of the CGST Act, section 34 of the CGST Act. Also there would be a consequential circular. So first important issue is that in case a post sale GST discount credit note is issued, then there are 2 important TDS requirements. Number 1, there has to be a pre-sale agreement, and number 2, the credit note for post-sale discount, they have to be linked to the original invoices. Now going forward, both these 2 criteria under section 15 subsection 3 clause B subclause 1 of the CGST Act would be omitted. So no more requirement of a pre-sale agreement or linking of the GST credit note with the original invoices for giving a post-sale discount under GST. Second, in case these post-sale discounts are given, then the suppliers were required to ensure that the customers reverse their input tax credit. This criteria would also be relaxed. Wherever credit notes, GST credit note are issued, then the customers need to reverse and the department needs to scrutinize. Already invoice management system compels the recipient of the credit note, that is the customers, to accept or reject the credit note. So this criteria may be relaxed. Third, financial credit note. In case a GST credit note cannot be issued, then financial credit note is issued in the supply chain. Many of the time what happens in the supply chain, as we all know, the goods change hands 4 times, from the manufacturer to the distributor, distributor to the wholesaler, wholesaler to the retailer, and retailer to the consumer. So in case the manufacturer wants to provide a discount to the consumer, how does it do that? It has to do it through the channel. Now this was done through financial credit note, and certain field officers had objected to it and said that actually the recipient of the commercial credit note had to issue a service invoice. Now this was a long pending issue with the GST Council. Discounts being such a critical area, it took time, but now it seems that the GST Council will come out with a clarification on this. Fourth, now what happens in case a financial credit note or otherwise is issued apropos a promotional activity or certain marketing activity or sales promotion activity which is done by the recipient of the financial credit note. In such cases, whether the recipient of the credit note have to issue a service invoice or a financial credit note will do. This was a big issue raised specifically by DGGI and various other field officers, and this would be addressed by means of a circular. Fifth issue in financial credit notes was whether the recipient of the credit note had to reverse the input tax credit. Possibly now it would be clarified that no such input tax credit reversal would be required for financial credit notes. And one more and a big issue was this circular 212 issued in 2024, wherein the recipient, the suppliers, the issuers of the credit note had to take a declaration from the recipients whether they have reversed the ITC or not. Now this circular 212 would be rescinded going forward. So this completely revamps the discount space in GST and possibly would put to rest a lot of litigation on post-sale discounts under GST. Third important item is intermediaries. Now there were many global capability centers, GCCs, online bidding platforms, agents, brokers in India who were providing services, their agency services, intermediary services to the foreign customers. So for example, a customer is in London, the goods supplier is in Japan, goods move from Japan to London and the Indian agent gets its commission from the customer in Japan. Now this intermediary services was liable to 18% GST and the customer in Japan could not even take the input tax credit. This was due to place of supply issue under section 13(8)(b) of the IGST Act. This 13(8)(b) of the IGST Act was also litigated. Even the Bombay High Court, the two judges were also differed in the opinion whether GST would be charged or not be charged. Now this 13(8)(b) would be deleted and intermediaries, Indian intermediaries who are providing their services to the foreign clients, they would be considered as exporters of services and would actually be liable to refunds of input tax credit. No GST would be applicable on their outward services. This put to rest a big issue on intermediaries GST. Fourth, the GST Appellate Tribunal would start taking the petitions by end of September. The hearings in the GST 80 would start in December 2025 and the last date for filing of the old appeals before the GST 80 would be 30th June 2026. So trade and industry should start preparing in case you have any pending appeals to be filed before GST 80 after the first stage has disposed of the matter. Then the petition should be ready for filing by end of September or October 2025. Do not delay these petitions because GST 80 has only limited powers to condone the delay. Fifth, for all kinds of refunds, inverted duty refunds, export refunds, refund for supplies to SEZs, etc. Now there would be a provisional refund within 7 days where the officer need not scrutinize the refund application, and that would be mandatory on the officer. If the officer chooses not to provide a provisional refund, then it has to be by exception and with a reason as to why provisional refund is not granted within 7 days, and that would be 90% of the refund. Thereafter, while sanctioning the final refund, the officers can scrutinize the applications. So this would unlock a lot of working capital for trade and industry. And last is registration. A new 3-day registration for small traders and service providers and dealers would be started. However, these registrants would not be allowed to issue GST invoices in a month where the GST value is more than 2.5 lakh, all IGST, CGST, SGST, UTGST taken together. However, this 3-day registration would be an option, and even in case the option is availed once, it would be allowed to revert to the normal registration. E-commerce operators, those traders supplying their goods or service providers supplying their services through e-commerce operators, they faced a major challenge in GST registration where virtual places of business etc. were not recognized under the GST law. Now this is expected to be relaxed going forward as per the press release of the 56 GST Council. Friends, we will discuss all of these points threadbare tomorrow in the colloquium at 9:30. The link to the webinar of our colloquium tomorrow at 9:30 is given in this video. Please do join over there for a threadbare, a further in-depth deep dive. Thank you very much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.